Okay, mic check 1 2 1 2. Welcome everyone to Pro Trade Room Plus and the ADP report. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director at 10 Minute Trades. Please remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. I'm not a financial advisor. It is possible to lose money trading futures. Okay, good morning. We are here for the ADP report. First things first, want to welcome everybody that's watching on YouTube, so thank you for joining with us. If you can hit that like button, we'd really appreciate it. Okay, so they're expecting 124,000 jobs. What is the ADP report? So the ADP report is ADP is a payroll company, and their claim to fame is that they do the payrolls for corporations in the United States. And if you have a company, you can hire the ADP company to do your payroll because it's expensive and can be confusing and complicated. If you have a lot of employees with all the tax laws, they create the payroll system for companies. So they have an inside look at the job market because if there's less payrolls being created, less jobs, then their report is less. There's less jobs. It's if there's more payrolls, higher jobs being created, then their report reflects that. And this report has changed somewhat over the years. I do think that it has become somewhat less important than it used to be. However, it still seems to be a nice tradable event. Last month, it had what we like to think of as a return to the mean. It had been a breakout trade for many, many, many years. And it has gone through various periods of difficulty in terms of how well it trades. Right now,
Seeing here
it's
the
on
Israeli military says a
50-50
team
as a
commander was killed in
breakout,
Lebanon.
but we have been trading it as a trap trade. And as a trap trade, it's actually been doing very well. Even last month, with the return to the mean and the breakout being successful, the trap trade worked also. So we're going to maintain our trap trade stance on this report. If you want to trade the breakout, it's a little bit less reliable, okay? I mean, that's just the reality of how it's been trading. But it's starting to look a little better. We don't know yet if we've got a trend towards bigger moves because look, we only have one report. One report does not make a trend. We had a 39 tick move back in April. Then we had two events that didn't work well. Then we had a small move in July, another event in July. There were two trades in July, beginning and end of the month. This is an unusual report in terms of the time, exact time of the month that it trades. But I like the trap because you're dealing with slippage sometimes on these gold reports. And like one of our members said on YouTube, I prefer trap trade over breakout due to the slippage I always get with the breakout. What was nice about last month, let me show you last month. It was a good move, 45 ticks. Okay, welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus and the
But
ADP like I report. Said, we have been trading the breakout for quite a few months on the trap for many months on this. And interestingly, it still offered a profit even when there was a good breakout. And that's because this report does reverse quite a bit. It reverses quite a bit. Okay? So, but I would say if you absolutely insist on the breakout, I would prepare for a target one trade and be prepared to move out after you hit target one. Get your stop to safety after target one. But like I said, last month, see, you're changing direction after the target one was hit. Okay. In real life, depending on your second target last month, you could have hit your second target, but there's no denying that we still got our reversal for the trap trade. Okay. We still got our reversal. In August, it just had a very mediocre move, not a very big move in August. It wouldn't have filled the trap. It would have come real close because we have a 22 tick tier and it only went about 21 ticks in August. It might have been possible to get a fill depending on when your orders exactly were put on the chart. This was August. And we were actually doing a breakout in August. I'd been expecting a return to the mean. We looked at the, you know what? I apologize. I don't want to lose my mind here. Wrong August. I knew I'm not, I knew I hadn't done a breakout. So I was a little bit surprised. Wrong video. Let me get the right video. I apologize. Let's get this right. Let me see if I have that August video. That was August 23. Not a great move. So I don't have an August video. Let's look at one more video. Let's look at July. Because I'm sure, yeah, trap in July. If you worry about risk, if you don't like the trap trades, you could trade tier 2 only. I do think this report, because it hasn't been a gigantic mover, you might put yourself in a situation where you don't get filled if you trade tier 2 only, because sometimes we only get a tier 1 fill. Now in August, it was a lousy gold move. It was a lousy gold move. I would rather not get filled on a trap trade than have a stop out on a breakout, okay? And it was not a good breakout trade in August. Let's look at one more. Sorry, I keep saying August. That's July. And that was 7/31, one day before August. And then this was the very beginning of July, because the timing of this report can sometimes be a little bit strange. Sometimes they'll do a report right on the first of the month and right on the last day of the month. It's a little bit unusual. So sometimes there could be two July dates, but really it's not that there's two July reports, obviously. So remember, what's a trap trade? We expect the market to move in one direction and then we are going in the opposite direction to get our profit. Not a very big move on July either. Now, I suppose if you understand the way the trap trade works, if you get a burst to the upside and then it totally changes direction to the downside and it doesn't fill you, then you should not stay in the trade as a general rule. Because the whole idea is when the news comes out, the pop and the burst in the direction is the correct direction for the news. If it then doesn't fill you and does a serious reversal like it did in July, then it would be correct not to wait for a fill on the trap trade. That honestly is just a trade that didn't fill. Okay? That's the way it goes. That's the way it happens. So here's how I'm going to trade this. Trap trade. Position size 1 is a 1. Position size 2 is a 1. The stop is 20. Tier 1 is 22. I'm using the smallest value, 22. I really do think we will get a 22 tick move. And my second
Germany's
tier
economy minister Habeck says that
is
further interest rate cuts
35.
are coming too slowly for me.
And the time of the event, remember this is an 8:15 event, so it's 8:14:55 as long as you're running the current version of the software, version 11. If you're on the previous version of the software, then your activation would be time of event is 8:15:00. It's an 8:15 Eastern time event. Prep seconds are 5. Okay? Prep seconds are 5. Let's go over the trap trade setup once more. Position size 1 is a 1. Position size 2 is a 1. Targets are 20. Sorry, stop is 20. It's a little bit early. I'm waking up here. Tier 1, 22. Tier 2, 35 ticks. Activation, 8:14:55. All right, if you're running, don't forget I label the software GC Trap on this trade, and I choose my account that I'm trading in Buellnox. That's my trap trade setup. I got to make sure that my charts match the account that I'm trading, okay? And they do. So I'm ready. Remember, when you enable a trap trade, you get buttons across the top. You want to see all of them. Break even, BE, close the trade, adjust, cancel the outer tier, and combine. If you don't see all the buttons, spread your chart wider, okay? Now I'm going to set up a second. Now, if you want to trade the breakout, if that's the way you prefer to trade, it's easy to set up a breakout. JOBB version 11. Breakout trade is chosen. Your activation would be 8:14:59. Remember, on time, use your local time to trigger. If you're in California, your trigger time is going to be 5:14:59. Don't trigger on my time, trigger on your local time. Our bracket is
Secured
12.
overnight financing rate 5.05% for
Our
October the
stop is
1st
20.
versus
And
4.96%
then
for
the
September the
targets
30th.
on the DMM are 7 and 13. Look at the moves that we've had. We had a 45 tick winner. We had a 24 tick winner. We had a 39 tick winner. So how do you really want to think about your targets? Look at the winners. Look at the size of the move. And then calculate the bracket also. So in other words, if you have a 45 tick burst and it was 45 ticks beyond the bracket, that's a 57 tick spike, okay? Now, generally, we're not including beyond the bracket, we're including the bracket. So that's a 33 tick availability for profit, not counting slippage, okay? So you want to allow for some ticks of slippage. It's not, you never know 100% the exact amount of slippage you're going to have. But this report, yes, it does have slippage, but yes, there usually is also profit available after everything is calculated in. So at a minimum, 45 minus the bracket is 33 ticks I think that you could use a bigger second target. If you wanted to, you could use a slightly bigger first target. You know, something logical could be 8 to 10 ticks on the first target and maybe 22 ticks on your second target or 19 ticks on your second target. You don't, you know, the targets are not in stone. Targets always change on the various reports. Use the DMM to try and help you to figure out what your best targets might be. Because this report does have a tendency to reverse, obviously, it's a trap trade. So I would use the target one stop feature. If my first target gets hit in a breakout, I would move my stop to break even minus 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, somewhere in there, so that I can protect profit if my first target gets hit. That's how I would set up the breakout. I would then apply it, and then I would set the time to 0 to look at the brackets on the chart, making sure you're in sim when you test your brackets. And the reason I do this is it's just for managing the trade. Okay, now one thing you don't want to forget, don't forget to label. It's very important to label your trade. Breakout, BRK, okay? That's my breakout. And I would recommend, I prefer trading gold rather than micros on breakouts. That's my personal preference. I prefer the full size. Time is set to 0.
Order submitted.
Okay, when a strategy is set to 0, we get our brackets. Now we have a nice setup here. Okay, plenty of room
Order
to
canceled.
manage the trade. Now, something that's interesting that shows up on this chart, gold is pretty negative today. It's down $20. This might be an excellent opportunity for a magnet to the downside, right? Magnet to the downside. If you had the interest, you could try trading news to the downside in this case. I'm going to add a magnet. Now, I'm not trading the breakout, okay? We will watch the behavior of the trap trade, and that gives us an idea how our breakout is trading. What I'm going to do is just save a template, though, here. So I have it ready, just in case something happened, and I all of a sudden had to immediately try to do the breakout. I would have a template for today. So I label it today's date. What are we? The 2nd. This is a very interesting possibility for a magnet. Now, what I was going to do was set up a micro gold after the news. Usually regular gold and micro are similar in the pivots, okay? And if you notice, that magnet is available there. You know, you might say you might have a possible magnet to the VWAP also, but we have a pretty negative day going on in gold. So if I were, and like I said, I'm not going to confuse things with my
At
breakout. I guess
8:15
we could
a.m.
leave it
Eastern
for
Time,
now.
we get
Let's
US
say, though,
ADP
you wanted
employment
to
change. Forecast
experiment with the magnet.
125K on the prior,
It would be the high
99K.
of day, low of day, which is chosen. Let's say we put in a 5% proximity and just one position with a 20 tick stop. I don't have to do anything else. Keep in mind, I'm on the new version of the software, which should be put up on the website today. Okay? And then my magnet, I'm concentrating on the trap this morning, but let's see what happens. We apply the magnet. We're going to label, we don't need to label it except putting the instrument that we're trading. The new magnet software on the high of day, low of day system is very quick and easy to set up. So now if you notice,
So
this
UBS
thick
says the
red
ECB
line
could cut rates to
would
1
be
to
our
1.5% if growth does not pick up in the
Okay.
coming quarters.
That's where we would enter. That's 26. Let me see if my brain is working. 66.40. Okay. It's 10 ticks away from the low of day. I would look to get a couple more ticks of profits. I'm just moving it up a little bit to try and grab a full 10 ticks should it hit that magnet. Now, if you want, you have to, if you're trading news, you must use an automatic magnet. You will never have enough time, in most cases, to try and time when you put the trade on if you wait for the signal. Meaning we have two ways the magnet works. It works automatic by pressing the magnet button and it's purple. That means if it hits our thick line, it will fill us short and it will execute the trade. If the magnet is enabled up top, and it's not on automatic, when the price pierces the thick red line, which is our fill, it'll blink and make a sound, but you won't have time to put the trade on. Then you just press the button and put the trade on, but the trade will be over. So the way you do it is, if you want it traded on the news, wait till about 10 seconds before the news is getting ready to be released, and then you put your automatic on. If you're far enough from the fill, like we are right now, you could put the auto on now. I like to be conservative and just wait till it's very close to the time of the trade and do it then, so you don't get filled early. But we are just testing today. I don't really want to take my attention away from the breakout. Sorry, the trap. The trap can be the trap trades can sometimes require management, and you can screw up a trap trade if you don't pay attention to it. Now look, everybody's different. So, I can trade multiple setups at one time, but I like paying close attention these days. It's better for everybody learning as well. Don't forget to check your time sync, okay? Everyone should have gone to the website Time Is to check their time sync, okay? When you go to the website Time Is, checks to make sure that your computer is in sync, all right? Let's take a look at June. If anyone has a question, now's the time. Please feel free to ask. I want to show you one quick thing also. Let's just look at the kind of move we had in
At
June.
8:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we get US ADP employment
We had a
change.
trap
Forecast
trade.
125K on the
Interestingly,
prior
we also
99K.
traded the breakout. We traded both. Now, see what I mean about your charts on a trap trade? There's two things that can happen. If your charts are too wide, too spread apart in Ninja, you might not see your orders. So make sure, if for some reason when the trap trade triggers, which is 5 seconds before the news, do what I do. If you can't see all your orders, just shrink the chart. And then we got a fill, a pretty quick fill on the trap. in June. And we also had a breakout. So you get multi setups that can work on this event. Okay. Very nice trap. You had the opportunity to trail. It worked very well. When we create a trap trade setup, we do create what we call a spike sheet, which gives us our zone of safety. Okay? August was 45 on the burst. 45 plus 20, which is our stop, would have been 65 ticks. Okay? That would have been 65 ticks. Our trap trade setup gives us just enough space. It will give us enough space to survive a 45 tick spike. That's the biggest spike we've seen in a very long time on this trade. We would survive that spike if we got a spike that big with our trap trade. Because 45 is less than our current zone of safety, which today is the second tier, right? It's the second tier. 35 ticks plus 20 is 55, okay? So we should be okay with our trap. It really doesn't look like the magnet wants to go down at the moment, but it's still a valid setup, in my opinion. I do believe that that low of day can get tested. All right, so we are just waiting now. And once again, I do want to thank everyone that's watching us on YouTube. Hit that like button, if you will. So I'm going to manage my trap trade. We're just testing the magnet, okay? I'm not live. So MB, we're too close to the trade to really get into that right now, but it depends what version you're running also. One more minute.
One minute remaining. Ten seconds.
Okay, 10 seconds. Orders will show up.
Order submitted.
Okay, the setup is nice and spread apart.
Order canceled.
143K, 143K.
Order canceled.
Canceling the outer tier, moving my stop to safety. Trailing
Seeing some
up.
upside in the dollar.
Trailing
Order
up.
canceled.
Okay, got a target and a profit on the trap. It did not get to the low. We did not get a fill. Right now, I would probably, look, I would take my profit on the trap. The news is against an upward move. The news is against an upward move. It's very high compared to what was expected. Okay, we got a nice reversal, a decent reversal for a profit. But I do think gold is going to struggle to the upside. The reason being, I'm not always right. So look, but we have a fairly negative trend on gold. We have very positive news, and we have a magnet, the low of the day. So if you have a profit on your trap, which you should have, I would take the profit because I think we're going to get that magnet. I think the magnet is what's going to happen next. So let's watch for a couple of minutes. I think gold is going to be
So
pushed
ADP
to
employment
the
change
low
prior revised
because
103K.
that's what this news report is doing to the possible price action. Positive news can push gold to the downside. Okay? So let's see what happens. Our trap trade's over long ago. We took our profit. Okay? Ravi, it's okay that you only made 60. It happens. Sometimes you just wait too long. It's hard. The tricky part, Ravi, is to try and analyze everything at once. You're trying to analyze the news while you're watching the movement. Something that we see, and it's something to be aware of when you're doing a trap trade. And in a situation like this, where there's also a potential magnet to one direction, and that direction is also in the trend of the current market you're trading, that might give us a heads up that our trap won't have the greatest reversal. So I always am concerned when we have that low of the day fairly close to our area, where if it would have hit the low of day on one shot, on one spike, that would have ruined our trade because the low of day was too far away to save us. Now, in some cases, what's interesting is you might have only wanted to get filled to the upside in this trade. Now, that wouldn't have worked because we got filled. Let me explain what I'm saying. It's the opposite. I'm just watching the price action and the magnet. It's the opposite. We only wanted to, ideally, short was the best direction. So the perfect trap trade today would have been an initial burst to fill us short. But that's not what happened. It went short because the news was very positive, and it didn't give us a perfect setup. It gave us the long setup, which works against all the trends. I hope I'm making sense. Am I making sense? Our best direction this morning was clearly short because there was such a strong trend in that direction on gold. And also, after the news, of course, it's easy to understand trend even better. We did have a possibility of even more downward movement because of the bullishness of the news. Now, look, we're getting a reversal. It's 4 minutes and a half after the news. It would not have been easy to stay in with all of the elements that we've just talked about, okay? I don't think we did anything wrong by taking our profit when we did. And correct, Doc, gold is now going to open at 820. That could create completely different movement and direction in gold now. The gold market opens at 820. I would, and interestingly, it looks like it's opening short. Our magnet trade is still valid. It's valid for hours, really. It's a magnet trade. You can set it and forget it, right? Just keep an eye on your chart. Okay, listen, I'm not going to shut the room instantly. I want to thank everyone on YouTube, though. We had a very nice audience. We made a nice profit. Thanks, everyone, for watching on YouTube. MB, just send me an email about the new software, help@10minutetrades.com. There's a lot of nice updates. Depending on when you were, what version of the software you're using. If you're on the most current version of 10, there's just a couple of small updates on version 11 that are a little bit less confusing, like we've taken time out of some trades that don't use time, things like that. Okay? But all the new software versions, they should be posted. My goal is to get them posted today on the website. You'll be able to download off of the website. Again, if there's any confusion, just send me an email and I'll send you a software installation instruction sheet. Now, of course, look at the reversal we're getting off of the gold open. It is a different event, okay? This is the gold open. This is not the ADP report, okay? We traded our ADP report. Let me just close our YouTube stream. Thanks again, everybody on YouTube. We'll see you next time.